Hi everyone. Do you have to work with the SAP Integration Suite? And do you try to get the message processing logs in a convenient way out of the system? Did you use the web front end, the graphical front end? And you have heard there is so much more by using an API? Yes, that's true. But do you want to script JSON and send them by using Postman or SOAP UI to the system? Of course not. In the next few minutes, I will show you some components I have written to solve this issue for my customers. So there is on the right-hand side the BTP tenant. Inside is running your integration suite. One of component I have written is a cloud application platform, a CAP, which is the CPIloghelper server. It will run and communicate on the BTP tenant directly with your integration suite using this API. And on your local system, there's a Java application which is portable, so you don't have to install it, and you can run it on Mac OS, on Linux, and on Windows, and it will send the requests. And in the next few minutes, I will go deeper into this CPIloghelper client and show you how I have solved many of the problems for my customers. So here we are on my Windows system, and I have placed the CPIloghelper client, the jar file, in a folder. And as long as this extension jar is connected to your Java VM, you simply can start it by double click on it. I have done this already in the background. And what you can see here is the configuration, especially in this case, the connection to some tenants. So I have here, for the demo purpose, my own BTP Integration Suite. And I will show you some things on this. If I click on OK, it will load all the information relevant for my development here. This is first the packages. The development packages and some other artifacts, like for example, I have here a script collection, and inside the packages, I have some iFlows. So if I click on this iFlow here, it will load the message processing logs and show detailed information already. So we can see here it's filtered. This is the filter area on the upper right. We can see here 153 completed and 303 failed messages. In total, 456 messages. And we can see here the ID of this message processing logs, the time, the status, and there are some attachments where I can go into and double click on one of these messages, and it will show me these attachments. There are two attachments in this case. One is the message, one is the error. So if I focus on some messages here by filtering, focus on some messages from yesterday and today, and load them here, I can see, okay, I have in total 146 messages. So I see all of them have attachments. If not, I can filter here to with attachments only. So what I want to do and what I want to show here right now is that inside these 146, there are some messages which contain product data, and they contain a GTIN. So I will search within the payload for one or several messages which contain a special GTIN ending by the digits 885. So what I know about these messages is that they have this GTIN 13 inside, and then as this is a JSON, there comes this colon. And then inside the GTIN, I say that there will be some digit, and I say, okay, this should be 10 digits, and at the end of these 10 digits there is my 885 where I want to search for. Okay, and then in the message anything else. So I can start the search, and the CPIloghelper asked you to send this search to the server component because there are more than 50 logs and it may take a while. So we have 146, and in this demo I want to send it to the background. And here in the status we can see immediately that there is the search ongoing. And you can see it will not take that long. So we will wait for the results here. And as soon as we have the result, it will send back to the CPIloghelper client, what we can see here right now. And we can see 4 of these messages have exactly this GTIN ending by 885 inside. So if I say I want to save these messages, I can say I want to store them on my local disk. And select some folder here, and it's storing these messages really fast here. And if I go into that folder, you can see here exactly these 4 messages stored on my local disk with the GTIN 13 inside. So if I say, okay, I don't want to store them on my local disk, I have in my company a MongoDB, I can replicate this data there. Or let's assume that this status is failed and I want to create a Jira ticket. So you can do this automatically here by pressing this button, and then it connects to a Jira and it will store the payload in this Jira ticket. And this can be done not only manually here. So let's think about you have in your company, let's say Control M, and it will send every day in the morning, 8 o'clock, a request so that the CPIloghelper should check for some filter criteria here. Let's say failed. Check for these failed messages from the last 2 days. So there is none in this case. Yeah, we can see it's all completed. So let's assume we want to check for these failed messages and we want to create a Jira ticket automatically with the results of this filter search attached to the Jira ticket. What you can also do is, if you have all these failed messages here, if I uncheck the date and time filter, we have many failed messages. And what I can do here is I can select all of them and I can say, okay, repeat this action. I want to repeat and resend the payload of these messages here. So there are different types, different names of payloads attached to these messages. And I select that I want to resend the one which is called message. Or let's say we can resend the one which has the message name error. And of course, we have here 275 messages. And this may take a while, so I can tell the CPIloghelper client here to send this request to the server so that it can work in the background. So what I will do here right now is I will select one of the messages here from today and open this, and I can say here, for example, if there is some text inside which is not correct, and it will fail again. So I can make a correction here. I can save this message. You can see here that the CPIloghelper has now right now this changed message here. And I click on the resend button. This may take a few seconds and it says, okay, completed. The message went through the system. And I can see immediately here the new message processing log. And it tells me, okay, this is completed. So think that you want to search in all of these 456 messages, and clicking here again on this search and send this to the background. Okay, it will start searching here, and you will see that this may take a while. Okay, so in this video we don't want to wait. We stop that. We can go to grab a coffee, or we go home, we come back tomorrow, and we can start our CPIloghelper again. And it says, okay, you still have a background search in place. Do you want to connect to this search now? Okay, I say yes. And you can see, okay, it's still running in the background. So your data is not lost here. In the last part of this video, I will show you an end-to-end scenario and how you can use the CPIloghelper to test and integrate some additional systems. In this case, the following components are involved into my end-to-end scenario. So yeah, you may smile a little bit, but this is the first component I need. It's a cable which I use to connect this tiny device. It's a small switch with which you can switch on lights or whatever you need to switch on and off. And it has a microprocessor inside which connects to Wi-Fi, and it connects to my router and then to some server in another country where it stores maybe data, which I don't like. So therefore, typically I open this device and use a Raspberry Pi to switch this device, to drive this device by 5 volt and connect this to my Raspberry Pi and put in a special mode, flash, some open source operating system. So here you can see this micro device has a microprocessor ESP8266, which is running with 26 megahertz. And this is enough to create a web server with a basic GUI where I can go and I can make some configuration and I can switch this on and off. So here you can see is my local IP address where I can access this tiny device. So what I have also done is to show you all this. I put the device in a safe environment because I don't like to die in this demo with touching 330 volt. So what I have here also involved is this home assistant, which will take off all the switches here in my home. I can switch on and off the lights, and I can open doors, close the doors, and automatically watering the garden, for example. This home assistant is connected to a cloud server, and on this cloud server I can send via an API some special messages with the payload to switch on and off this light. And now I will show you the demo here. I have this iFlow created, switch. I can remove the search here. So I have some messages here already sent. You can see that some of the messages failed, some of them completed. I will focus on the completed messages from today. So I have here the message, and I want to send this JSON payload, and the Home Assistant server is checking the payload, and it's listening here on the Boolean true. So if I send this switch to false, nothing will happen. And what you can see here also is that I have switched the webcam to the micro device so that you can see what is going on here. So if I change the payload to true, and I will send this via BTP Integration Suite to the Nabu-Casa cloud, which will send it to my Home Assistant, and it will send it to the Tasmota device, and it will act accordingly. So it will switch on the light here, and if I resend it, it will switch off the light. So you can see here the messages successfully completed. This is a successful end-to-end scenario where you can see and handle the message processing logs and test and send these messages. Okay, last but not least, you can see here that what we have done in the second step, we were searching for some information in these 456 messages. My search is still present, so I can go anytime back to the results of my search here. So if you are interested in knowing more about this tool, let me know. Maybe you can subscribe to my channel, and maybe you can get in contact with me to get some further information or to have a test of this CPIloghelper. Many thanks for listening. Have a good day. Bye bye.